Hello, everybody. Welcome to another wonderful episode of the Pixelated Echoes. I'm 3-bit, and we're gonna have a pretty good episode today. Usually I'll start off with what I'm playing and all that. So yeah, let's get right into that. I have been playing Starfield. Starfield has been my baby lately. I'm doing the DLC. I don't know how people are beating this so quickly. There's a ton of like side quests, and the world itself is just so beautiful. I maybe what's taking me so long is I'm the one to kind of like take pictures a lot and take videos. I'm just like wow, and I was like looking looking around. So yeah, I've been lost in Starfield land. But we got a good show. I haven't been able to talk about, at least on this show, the preview showcase. So I do have some thoughts on that. Some extended thoughts. Me and Fuzzy have both been on several shows. We were on one just yesterday, so if you guys definitely go check out PTK. He was going to be here. Some things popped up. But that was a great show, so you guys could go check that out. That was PTK. He runs the Shop podcast. Go check out that episode. It was really funny. Pong, I sent a ghost to his house, so he had some connection issues. But that's what he gets. You know, he didn't believe me about the ghost. Look at it. But, no, it's gonna be a good show. So Fuzzy, man, like co-host, the horror watching racing legend, the wonderful Fuzzy Belvedere joins me in the co-hosting chair. How you doing today, brother? And what have you been playing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Glad to be here with you tonight. Just been between watching some movies and playing some games. I'm also playing Starfield, but I'm on that sci-fi kick, so I'm also like, kind of also playing Outer Worlds at the same time.
Nice.
Just screwing around because like I don't want to screw up my playthrough right now because I used to have a shoot 'em in the face playthrough on Starfield,
Oh,
and I
nice.
don't
I
want to
should
do
do
that
that.
on the DLC, but I'm kind of getting that out of my system through Outer Worlds. It's like, hey, you can't go back there, type of thing. And then anytime you see any of the like little containers and it's red, just pickpocket it, whatever. But man, I, I'm just so happy that they have that DLC and that they're doing more of those like handcrafted expansions throughout, which hopefully we get one every year or maybe every other year or whatever the case is. But just loving Starfield, the new vehicle, the scenery with the new planet. It's just amazing. But people still want to hate on it. Oh, it's a 5 out of 7 or a 5 out of 10 or whatever now for the DLC as opposed to 7 out of 10 what it was for the main game. But I'm still going to enjoy it, even if they hate it. It is what it is. But
Yep, yep.
so glad to be here.
Yeah, of course, man. And then the I just thought it would be cool. I had a random thought the other day, like it'd be cool if Starfield Online is something they're working on. I mean, wow, that would be sick. Like I'm just imagining it could either be I'm trying to think of how they would do it. It could be I guess a PvE experience, no nothing
Mhm.
where I'm trying to kill your ship or something. But that would be pretty cool. Something akin to maybe what they did with Elder Scrolls Online. I just feel like that would be pretty sick if they managed to do it
Yeah.
somehow. I don't know how that would work because Starfield's all about like different planets, so you're
Mhm.
not trapping somebody on one planet. Um, unless you made a system where somehow you and your friend could just fly to different planets together, and I could go to one planet and you could go to one, and we're not interfering.
Yeah.
That's not for me to figure out, but hey, hey, that would be sick. Let's get
Just imagine a squadron of ships just going against either the Crimson Fleet
that would be
or
so cool.
let's say you want to take on the UC, with that big ship that they have, um, you know, just a whole fleet of smaller craft going against that would definitely be sick. I
Yeah.
mean, people could say, "Oh, just play Star Citizen." No, no, I rather play Starfield Online. I think that would be the ultimate space sci-fi
I could picture that
PV
actually coming out.
PVE kind of thing. I hope they are working on it. Like, let's put it this way: if they're not working on it, somebody needs to convince Todd that that needs to happen like ASAP kind of thing. I know you're working on Elder Scrolls, but please do a Starfield Online or something to that extent.
Yeah, I guess if I see a mod of it to some extent, then I'll know it's possible. Because
Yeah.
the modding community is insane, and they find a way to do everything. So if there's like a co-op mod or something in Starfield, I haven't looked up if there was any, but if there was, that would be a cool, good indicator. Because I think there was one for Skyrim.
Hmm.
Someone figured out how to do like co-op in Skyrim, which is really cool. Yeah, there's so many mods in Skyrim. But a Star Citizen, before we get into our first topic, they just
Hmm.
had Citizen Con.
Hmm.
I think it was either yesterday, day before yesterday. I seen most of it. I was actually watching it. I wasn't even gonna talk about this, but I forgot that it happened. They had Citizen Con. They showed gameplay demo. You had the, they have a lot of celebrities in that game. So you had like Henry
Yeah.
Cavill, who's like flying the ship, and you had Gary Oldman, who's kind of he's the
Hmm.
commander. And um, it. I mean, the thing about Star Citizen is it looks like a great game. Like it
Hmm.
has the potential to be a great game. I think they are just in, unfortunately, it's a feature creep kind of thing. Where who knows if it'll actually be done at some point. Um,
They
it's just
claim
like
2026 for Squadron 42.
they
We'll
did.
see.
We will
They
we
said
will
that
see.
for 10 or 12 years now, but
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to be a hater. I think it's cool what they're doing. Like in
yeah.
terms of like the features that is in Star Citizen. To be fair, no other game is trying what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I give them props there.
Hmm.
However, it's hard to give them props because at the same time they're selling like $1,000 ships, like $100 ships, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
bruh. So
Make
every
sure
time
you
I
get
try,
insurance.
make sure you get insurance for sure. But they had the gameplay demo. It looked
Hmm.
pretty fun. It wasn't like a
Yeah.
long cutscene. Like it's one of is there. It's definitely like a Hideo Kojima type cutscene where you forget you're playing for a second. You're just like it's like, oh dang, I forgot I was playing like 10 minutes ago. But looks cool. I'm liking the
Yeah.
ship combat. The cutscenes are looking polished.
Yeah.
Yeah, so something to look out
Oh
for
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Well, there was two things I did notice, which I'm not going to really nitpick, but there was some stuttering, and there was like some like morphing of one of the characters where his ears looked like they were going Vulcan and then
Oh
regular and
yeah,
then
yeah.
Vulcan or something like that at one point. But the biggest thing, like you said, you're watching these cut scenes and you're waiting for the gameplay. I could see somebody eating the popcorn and be like, "Oh wow, they're going to go to the turrets and stuff," and they're like, you'll probably be sitting there thinking like you're watching a cutscene still and be like, "Why isn't that idiot shooting?" Oh, you're the idiot that's supposed to be playing the game now and firing the turret kind of thing. So that's about the only thing I could see myself being that idiot where it's like, "Oh man, this looks so awesome." And why isn't that guy shooting at those ships? Oh wait, oh I can control it now. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
might be a problem, but it did look pretty cool. But man, so many years in development, but it's looking like it's what everybody dreamed as far as a sci-fi movie turned into a game. I'm just hoping they have more voice choices
Mhm.
for the like as your player character. Looks like they had a decent amount of like picture IDs or models that they've used, but it was like only two voices, a feminine voice and a masculine voice, and what if I want a southern drawl or something like that
That'd be
to
cool.
my character? Gotta spice it up a bit.
Yeah, spice up the customization a little bit. I know they've been working a lot. Like the way they've been doing development is super interesting to me. The demo did crash on the stage. I don't know if whoever watched it was like some basically it was a live demo, so a guy was playing it, and then all of a sudden
Mhm.
it did crash, which I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Star Citizen. Um, but the way they've been developing the game is super interesting, just because of the fact like that they're focusing a lot on the multiplayer side of things, but what they showed at Citizen Con is like the story mode the Squadron 42 is basically the story mode version of it, and they're hoping to get a lot of funding within the Squadron 42 portion, so that way they can kind of fund the a lot of the game. Which they say that, but I mean, a lot of people are buying the ships and stuff, and I think it's one of the most funded games of all time that I can. That I'm pretty sure it is the most funded game of all time. I can't remember what the
Yeah.
exact amount was, but it was pretty dang high.
I think they're at 400 mil at this point
Yeah,
between like the ships sold and the original donors and stuff. Like, I think that was the figure that was tossed about. Like, I mean, kudos to the fact that they've had a playable game for as many years as they've had, but yeah, they had a lot of funding, and I think there was like a big space battle that probably was costing people like 12 million or 17 million in lost ships and character stuff or
oh
whatever.
yeah,
But yeah, it's definitely up there in the funding from a crowdfunding standpoint and microtransaction standpoint. Well, the only thing that will probably beat it on microtransactions is GTA
oh yeah,
online, but yeah, this thing is still being somewhat crowdfunded to some extent, and
yeah. That's mostly doing the legwork. I do know that I think this was Star Citizen, unless my memory serving me wrong. You could like buy a piece of a planet or something like that. Was that Star Citizen?
I don't know if you could buy the piece of the plant. I know you can get like certain homes in like the like almost like a penthouse tower type thing. I think that may have been another game where you could have a planet. I mean,
Okay, yeah.
then again, you probably could discover a planet and claim it, and then you'll have to fight everybody for it. But I don't think you can like technically buy it, but you can try and claim it and hope you survive the onslaught that will try to claim it from you, kind of thing.
Which I do have a game idea of something similar to that, but I'm not gonna say it here in case I decide to make it. And then no one did it yet. But either way, Citizen Con, you guys should check it out. I will always give props to developers trying different things that other people, we in the sea of remakes and remasters, at least we have someone out there that's trying some stuff. If it actually comes out, who's to say? But shows promise. So definitely shows promise. I did play it a little bit, maybe a year or so ago.
Mhm.
The transition from your ship, like you could go in outer space. When it works, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it does not work. But the very first time I played it, it felt like I was in an E3 demo. I had a ship. It was one of their free fly days that they do sometimes. Um, and I got out of the space station, like clicked on the bay that it comes down in. I flew to a planet. I was like, whoa, did a mission. It worked perfectly. I'm like, wow, this is great. Every other time I played after
Mhm.
that, it was like it never worked. So they got a lot of kinks, but awesome. You guys
Yeah.
should definitely go check that out. So I thought we could maybe kind of back up a bit for our first topic, and there's been some sprinkles of information throughout the week. We did get like a snippet rumor that an Xbox executive said something about an older franchise that rhymes with Tanbo Kaplooey. Uh, so that would be Banjo Kazooie. So, according to a couple sites, but citing my Nintendo news, and let me answer Poison Maniac. PTK is not coming through. He had some stuff come up, but he's always invited back. So maybe next Sunday we could have him come back on. So let me pull up the gameplay here. I want my banjo gameplay.
Mhm.
Um, Okay, so according to a couple sites, citing mostly Nintendo news though, Xbox's marketing head apparently told an audience that nobody cares about Banjo Kazooie. Aaron Greenberg, Xbox game marketing at Microsoft, he recently attended a Microsoft Flight Simulator event, and during the time, there was a PR person who asked fans who attended which games they wanted to see again, to which one of the attendees shouted, Banjo Kazooie! And then Greenberg heard the reply and apparently said to the audience at the event that nobody cares about Banjo Kazooie. Um, uh, this site, this is all quoted from the site. It later says right after that, a bizarre statement to make, especially considering the critical and sales success Sony has recently had with its Astrobot platformer. Um, I got comments to make about that, but
Yeah.
Jay Wood, Jay Wood, member in the community, he posted later on. He sometimes dropped by our shows. I believe I could be wrong, but I think I've seen him in a couple of our fun speculation chats and just around the community. He
Mhm.
posted in reply to this article saying, "If this is actually true, I'm going to assume that it was sarcasm, lost in translation. I have a hard time believing that Aaron Greenberg would say something like this publicly." And then Aaron came out later in a Twitter post kind of refuting these claims, saying, "Correct, I absolutely know how much Banjo Kazooie means to our fans." I'm quoting, and gamers everywhere. It holds a special place in my heart growing up playing these classic games. So, I have some thoughts on it, but I kind of want to hear from you first, Fuzz. Just to,
Mhm.
what do you think about that debacle? Do you like what are your thoughts on, I guess, the importance of a franchise like Banjo?
Well, before I get to that, just like how that Nintendo thing did the report, it's like fake news. It's just that was like the first thing that came to mind. Like I can't imagine Greenberg like kind of like what Jay would say, Jay would said, where it's like unless he was saying it sarcastically, I can't imagine him saying that because he knows from several events that like one of which I've attended and others have in the community have attended, and they keep on asking about Banjo Kazooie. So he knows that people within the community and within the Xbox platform care about it. But it the importance of a platformer, since it's one of the main pillars in any platforms, as far as gaming console or ecosystem or whatnot. Platformers are kind of like that staple. They may not be as big as they once were, like 90s, yeah, early 2000s. They were probably some of the largest. They had the largest share of gaming, but first person shooters and battle royales and stuff have kind of pushed them aside somewhat, but it's still an important icon within any ecosystem that you look at. Same thing with fighters, same thing with racing games. Some people may say niche, but they're an expected thing. So having something like Banjo Kazooie would be awesome for them to bring that IP back to life with an update. I mean, we do now currently have Crash Bandicoot through the Activision, acquisition and stuff like that. But I I I know one particular person that I podcast with a lot that definitely would love to see a Banjo Kazooie return, but there are many others that I see in the community or make posts on Twitter or make posts on other social media and stuff like that about either growing up on the game or remembering the game from the early days on their Nintendo 64 and stuff, all the way up to like just hoping that they see something like that now, or seeing like a Spyro or a new Crash Bandicoot, or even not necessarily another 3D Sonic, but like platformers in general have always been a requested item. And right now, Astrobot, like while critically acclaimed, it's not charting, but
Yeah.
I'm assuming it created enough buzz within the community to have something to highlight for that time period. And the dual sense integration as far as the feel from playing that game is what probably seals the deal and makes it amazing in that sense. But overall, platformers should still be cherished. Like I'm looking forward to possibly a Psychonauts 3 at some point. Like that was one of the few platformers that I gravitated to on the Xbox platform, and it was mainly the story that captured me more so than the platforming. But the platforming was cool, and they had some different things that you don't typically see elsewhere. But like with Banjo Kazooie, there's always that need for nostalgia. And I think it's something that it's probably better for them to create something, even if it's a shorter experience, like let's say something along the lines of like Ratchet and Clank, where it's like an 8 hour to 12 hour range. than to just sit on the IP and let it collect dust kind of thing. I think it would be better for them to at least make use of it, even if it's just to put it in like a Xbox IP boxing or fighting game. Not necessarily like a brawler per se, but like whether it's Killer Instinct or something different. I think they should definitely look into, reviving that IP to some extent. And a platformer would be a great way to, kind of give those nostalgia feels for it.
Yeah, heck yeah. So I have so many thoughts on this, just because it's a topic I see kind of come up in different forms in terms of like what Xbox should bring back or what shouldn't. Like the Sousa was kind of he posted they have owned Banjo since 2002. They made one game. Yeah, really important joke or not is what they think at Microsoft. I believe that. And he follows that up with now that Microsoft owns Crash 2, that's also dead. Toys for Bob wouldn't want to go indie for no reason. They don't care. Come on, guys. Um, okay, so you said a couple things there. Toys for Bob, I think was just in a state where they were treated like trash with Activision for quite some time, and now that they finally had somewhat of an opportunity to kind of like venture out once a big company kind of bought them, I thought that they found their way out, and still wanted to be a team. So that one is a little different, but um in terms of like what Xbox should do, I've always been of the sentiment that like Xbox has a ton of franchises. When you look at Nintendo, um, something Nintendo does very well is they harp on nostalgia to the point where that is basically their brand. Like you have how many Mario games at this point? You have Mario Sunshine. You have Mario doing golf, and then he's playing basketball, and he's playing, he's doing all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And I think there is power to that. Um, I think like if you start to build out your characters, it can be beneficial for a lot of ways. I think maybe the best way to do that is not to, because I see people like Colt. He always says like he hates Banjo Kazooie and he doesn't want Microsoft to focus their teams on it and stuff like that. Um, my whole thing is like I guess maybe some outside teams can do it, like a Toys for Bob now is outside, or some other teams. I think there's still power to building out these types of franchises. I think a lot of franchises kind of can come back and reboot and remake. How many times have people on Sony side asked for like a Siphon filter to come back, or like a Resistance or something like that? Not saying Banjo is of that caliber. Platformers are definitely niche at this point, but it could be cool for Xbox to explore. You can explore your big games, your Gears of Wars, and your Fables. Shout out to Fable. But why not? If you can do it, if it's in the budget, like, hey, I have extra 5 million here or whatever. I really don't see why not. If you have somewhat of a fan base kind of clamoring for it. Um, that's just been my kind of view on it. If you're talking about no, it's a dead franchise, whatever. I mean, at this point, it's Xbox kind of making it a dead franchise. It has the potential to do something, in my opinion. So I don't know. Like there's a lot of people who could want a Banjo Kazooie to come back. I think a smart thing to do is like if you don't want to use the resources in your studio, that's something I kind of criticize with the Xbox. Like you give all the studios the power to create whatever they want. That's awesome. And that is a good strategy. However, what gets lost in that strategy is if you're not forcing them to make the stuff that's within your library, then who's making it? Like Rare, how many IPs did Rare used to make back in the day? Now they're just making Sea of Thieves. You know,
Yeah.
like that is all they're pretty much making right now. They're making Everwild, but who knows if Everwild is? We'll see. We'll see what Everwild is doing. But yeah, I mean Banjo is an IP that it won't make the Starfield numbers. It won't make the Madden or anything like that. Most likely it would be like an Astrobot. Astrobot did not sell very well, despite all the critical acclaim, right? That people
Yeah.
say it's their game of the year and like, oh, I love Astrobot and stuff like that. No shade to Astrobot, but it did not sell. It's not in the top 10, not top 20 of sales. So all that talk of like, oh, I love Astrobot, it's my game and stuff, that sentiment, I don't know how true it is in terms of sales because it's not selling to that game of the year, status. But
Yeah.
that's just it could just because of that's the maybe the genre, maybe like just the appeal of it. I don't know. But that's just it's just if they do a Banjo Kazooie, I assume it would be similar. But I don't know. I feel like Banjo could sell a little bit better than Astrobot. Maybe that's just me because it has a little bit of a name with Nintendo and stuff, and maybe they could do something there. Um, but my whole point is Xbox could probably look at the IPs they have. They own a ton now. Some of them
Mhm.
they're bringing back, like Perfect Dark, awesome. That was
Yeah.
something that people wanted to come back in some form. Banjo Kazooie they own. They own all these different characters now, and I've always said Xbox should start to celebrate the IPs that they have in some form. Like they own Doom Guy, and then
Mhm.
they own the Skyrim franchise, and they own Forza, and they own Minecraft, right?
Mhm.
So I always said they should make some sort of Xbox fighting game
Yeah.
or something to celebrate the IPs that they have, because I feel like a lot of people forget that they own Banjo Kazooie to begin with. Um, so I don't know, like nostalgia is a tricky thing. I feel like a lot of current day movies, for example, rely on nostalgia, like to constantly push franchises and stuff. But you almost get like a guaranteed seat in movies, like for Ghostbusters, for example. Like people
Yeah.
are going to see the newest Ghostbusters just because, like, oh, I remember when I was a kid and I played Ghostbusters or watched Ghostbusters, and so it could go either way. Um, but I don't think they should just not make it. I don't agree with that sentiment where they're like no one cares about it or whatever. Maybe they do think that internally. They're looking at the sale potential and being like, oh, yeah, this is gonna sell like 5 copies. Why should we make this? I don't think it's to me it's not even about that. It's
Mhm.
about like building up your brand in a way or building up the IPs that you do have. So that
Mhm.
way when people look at Xbox, they could be like, "Oh, that's the platform that has Banjo, that has Joanna Dark," and you start resonating the brand with the IP.
Mhm.
That's why I look at it that way. Any lasting thoughts on that, Fuzz?
Yeah, I just if they wanted to keep it somewhat simple and kind of cover all bases, I think focus on making a good platformer that includes Banjo Kazooie, that includes Crash Bandicoot, that includes Spyro, that includes Steve from Minecraft, possibly, that includes Psychonauts or Baz or Raz from Psychonauts. I think doing something like that where it's like choose your character and they go through these different worlds, and if they could come up with a way for people to make user worlds themselves or their own player created worlds, kind of like the way Sackboy did, I think that might be something worthwhile for them to at least give a try. Like have that platformer that everybody can kind of fall into where you have at least one beloved character amongst your many IPs, and if the community grabs a hold of it and enjoys it and they start building some extra you know levels and stuff like that consisting of stuff from any of those other IPs, I think that might be a win. I mean, Nintendo has done stuff like that, so Xbox. I mean, I'm not saying copy their playbook exactly, but give it a try. I mean, it's at least a good thing to have in Game Pass. Like at the end of the day, I think that would be a draw where if you want to have it where there's always a game that people kind of either love to play and are willing to pay, like let's say it's 19.99 or 29.99 type of thing, that's great. Or a game that is almost like that comfort food, but in Game Pass. I think that would be something to kind of steer them towards. That and a kart racer kind of game. I
Yep.
think having those as staples somewhere in Game Pass, I think would be a nice added, feature or bonus kind of thing for people. So that's
Yeah.
all.
Has nothing to do with how much money is this game going to make. And I think that's what I keep seeing around, like oh, it's only going to sell this amount of copies.
Hmm.
Um, I think it's more so about the brand and building that up. That's the way I see it, anyways. I think if they are going to do that, then they should start setting a precedent with the other IPs they have. To be fair, um,
Yeah.
to build those out as well, not just start with Banjo. But it could be a good ripple effect because a lot of people do want Banjo, they do want Conquer,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
so like a lot of people want these franchises, but to the extent of like a Call of Duty, no, you know, um,
Yeah.
but it could start something where people are more invested in that ecosystem. But that's
Oh,
just
and for Conquer, make it so it's like he's an unlockable if you can prove that you're either 18 or 21 or something. Like, because I think that's probably their fear with something like Conquer is that, oh no, we'll get canceled or something.
oh
But
yeah,
just make it so it's like, okay, dad or mom can play using Conquer and the kids can't thing. And I think the adults in the room would probably be like, that's fine. Yeah, and they got a squirrel hiccuping because he's drunk or tipsy or whatever. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I think that would be like Sunday fun day kind of thing. Oh, I don't feel like having a six pack. I'll just have this squirrel run around screaming drunk kind of thing.
that
So
would be I didn't really think about that. I think maybe how they could approach Conquer is similar to what they did with it was like the creators of Rick and Morty did that one game. It was on Game Pass. What was it called?
yeah,
Um,
high on life.
High on Life. Yeah, maybe they could approach it somewhat like that, but I don't know. Yeah, I didn't even think about like the substance of what's actually in a Conquer game. They had like a
Mhm.
poop monster, and they had the whole thing like World War II, and yeah.
Mhm.
That would be a harder game for sure to make, but I feel like they should do it. I feel like they should
Yeah.
tackle it. We got a couple of comments before we move on to the next topic. Do. Let me scroll up here. Do. Starting with why so serious? No, yeah. He says, "What's up, bro?" Susa says, "Nothing can succeed with the way Xbox marketing is. Nobody I know even knows what Game Pass is. If they made a new Banjo, nobody would know it exists." Kind of already explained my thoughts on how they could do a pretty decent job of that. In terms of the Game Pass thing, I mean, I I do agree. Not a lot of people do know what Game Pass is. I've run into a lot of people outside of our gaming sphere. They're like, "What's Game Pass?" I'm now like, "Well, let me tell you what Game Pass is." That is something they definitely got to work on.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. I think Game Pass is an awesome deal. And I will preach it to everybody, the good word, a good sermon of Game Pass. But um, yeah, I don't know. That's not up to me for to figure that out. I am in marketing, so if they did want to hire me to figure it out for them, I am available. Susa says maybe instead of making jokes, Greenberry should learn how to market the brand and its games. Here's where I kind of disagree. Like, do I agree that they need to figure out certain things in marketing? Yes. Um, like you mentioned, like Game Pass. Not a lot of people know Game Pass is outside of our gaming sphere. I know Psycho is in GameStop preaching it to everybody who comes in and stuff like that. But sometimes I feel like they market their games very well. Example being Metaphor. despite all the things that was coming out of the game, like why is Xbox marketing Metaphor, and why, just dumb things like that. Metaphor was in Times Square. It was a billboard in Times Square. Actually seen a couple ads on it. It could be just my algorithm or whatever, but I thought they did a pretty good job with that. Starfield was all over buses and billboards and stuff like that. We do know there was a report that their marketing, it was a while ago, that their marketing thing did not get a lot of, they didn't get a lot of money for their marketing budget. So I do hope that changes. Um, I mean, their shows are amazing, and that does kind of give them some marketing there. But I feel like they do great for some games, and they've been getting a little better. So I don't know. This is my opinion, I guess. You say, Omi Tony says Astrobot should be called the nostalgia to life genre. Maybe, maybe. It's been a while since I played Banjo, that's for sure. But I played Crash recently, and that game aged very well. So if that aged pretty well, I could assume Banjo would as well. Do. Why so serious says Xbox just dropped the Fighter of the Year into Game Pass. Which game is he referring to? Do you know? Just
Well,
dropped the
Sifu is
Fighter
is in there
Sifu.
now. I'm enjoying that, but if there, there's another one. It's like it's almost like the way that animal one is, but it's like imagine like the 50s and 60s or 70s like high school leather jacket kind of brawler where it's what is that other game where you basically grab people and you can punch
Oh,
them
Mad
or
Mad
blow.
Streets or
Yeah.
that game is awful.
It's fun though. It's
It
so
is
much
fun. It is fun.
fun.
It is fun.
I'm gonna hit you
I'll
with a
give it.
barbecue.
I was just like, I did when I started that game. I did play it a little bit. When I started that game, I had no idea it was like a physics game, so it just threw me the heck off when I started. I was like, what the heck? It was like head bobbling and you're grabbing somebody, and it's just, yeah, yeah. Fun time, fun time. It was a Game Pass, so I can't complain too
Yeah.
much, but that was a good one. Why so serious says, okay, cool. Good evening, folks, from Big Mad Mo. Shout out to you, Big Mad Mo. Um, I'm trying to catch up on everybody. The Duck of Death says Sega created so much IP and tech for the arcades and their consoles. I feel nostalgia for their properties, but not so much at all for PlayStation. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I was definitely a Sega kid. Like the arcades is where it all started for me. Outrun, Afterburner, Space Harrier. I was it called Hang On? I think that was the motorcycle one. I think it may have been called Hang On, unless I'm confusing the Nintendo version. But
Oh,
I
yeah.
loved how they had like the actual seated or rideable, you know, attractions as far as arcades when it came to Sega, like Daytona. Like
Yep.
I came this close a couple of times between getting an old Daytona cabinet that was like a two car one
Same.
and Outrun, which the wife complained because it take up too much space in the basement, but I still wound up having a racing seat and wheel and pedals and all that stuff set up. But yeah,
Did you
man.
get like another art? So it's how I been kind of convincing my wifey to like get bigger arcade cabinets and stuff. Like I already have one of them, and then
Mm,
she can kind of see and visualize like, oh, this is pretty fun. And then guests come over and be like, wow, what's this? And that kind of, it helps. I'm just saying, uh, helps in
for
that
for
department.
for me, for it to work, I would have to get a game that she can kick my butt in. And
Mm,
there are games that she can do that in. It's just that they don't have arcade versions of them. Like Bushido Blade was one. Because
okay.
I'm so busy trying to chop her limbs, like chop her at her knees. So she's like, limping around and stuff. But she's just going for like decapitation.
Immediate. Yep.
So that was that's probably one of the few PlayStation titles that I'm nostalgic for. But that one, I don't think they ever had an arcade version of that. But Virtual Fighter, but she hated when I would play the drunk character. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
but that's the way I can win her over. It's like I'd have to get one of those, and she'd be like, instead of like fussing with me about what we're going to watch on TV, it'd be like, hey, let's play this, and then she'll be purposely trying to beat me to the ground. Like, okay, I see. You
Yeah,
win.
it's a
You pick
good
the
good
TV
opening
show.
game, for sure. You listed some good ones. I was gonna get the X-Men arcade cabinet just
Oh
because it's
yeah.
like it's 4 players too. So when
Hmm.
you get guests over, they can like check it out. And it
Yeah.
looks like a bigger cabinet. This is arcade one up. It looks like it's a bigger cabinet than most. I don't like small cabinets.
Yeah.
Weirdly, like I don't want to look like a kid cabinet. Like I want it to
Yeah.
look like I'm actually in the arcade. I actually put extenders on my Terminator 2
Hmm.
one, so it looks taller. But that one is
Yeah.
actually huge already. So you don't have to do much there. But anyway, let me get to some more of these. Um, Tony says, anyone else ever wonder if Fuzzy is an old cinema fan with the close-up shot of his eyes? Hollywood. Maybe, maybe. Um, I so serious said I got tricked into watching a pony podcast. Had to get out of there. Oh, you're talking about another show. I'm like, we're definitely not ponies. Um, let's see, Sousa. If Game Pass is their whole thing and people don't know about it, they failed. I mean, I don't agree with that. Not everyone's gonna know about your product, and like we are a community, right? Where we know a lot about gaming. We know a lot about the gaming scene news, like us talking about Aaron Greenberg's comments at a show where he said something about Banjo Kazooie as a joke and stuff, and we're talking about it. Like we know the community way more than like other people out there, and I sometimes have to remind myself of this when I'm like talking to just random people out in the world. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm playing this on Game Pass and stuff, and like they have no idea. They barely know what a PlayStation is. They're like, oh, what's a oh, you're playing it on the PS3? And I'm like, no, you know,
You're like the
um,
old meme of mom always saying, "You get off that Nintendo.
yeah, yeah, get off the Nintendo.
Everything's a Nintendo." Wait, what?
Yeah, you sometimes have to like I know a lot about the gaming scene, Fuzzy knows a lot about the gaming scene, but there's a lot of people out there who can't what like they'll dive into it with a Call of Duty, a Fortnite, and that's why those games are always the top, right? But they can know about those games and not know half of what Sony offers with PS Plus or
Yeah.
what Xbox offers with Game Pass and things like that. But I mean, that's what I think there. Can they do a better job in marketing? I'm not disagreeing with that. I just think like I don't think they failed. I think they can definitely do some things to get better at. But I could say the same thing about the PS Plus and other things where I feel like they could market things better. But we're just
Yeah.
it is I don't know. It's just the way it is. I guess something they could definitely improve upon. But I don't think they failed or whatever. Why so serious? Web Dave had Colt and Fonz on his show. Yeah. Oh, that's what you guys are talking about. Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, yeah. No comment. Big Mamo says Greenberg isn't in charge of marketing. Okay, okay. Cool. Caught up with most of it. Oh, Duck of Death said, "Are these people that play video games that don't know what Game Pass is?" Yeah, unfortunately. Um, seen that a lot. Like a lot of people like, "What's Game Pass?" And then I give the sermon like, "Well, Game Pass, if you buy it, it's basically Netflix for games." That's kind of what I say, and then I kind of go into it further. Um, Rand was being Rand. He was cool on the show. Yeah, Rand is dope.
Yeah.
We Rand was actually on Pixelated Echoes. I think it was on the third episode, fourth episode, something like that.
It was definitely one of the early ones. Yeah.
Yeah, Rand's awesome. Um, shout out to Rand. All right,
Mhm.
let's get into the second topic. So we got to kind of talking about the Xbox partner preview show on certain shows. We talked about it. We talked about it yesterday.
Mhm.
I believe this is the third partner preview show that we've seen. Definitely the best out of the three.
Yeah.
We haven't yet talked about it on here, so this will be me and Fuzzy's unfiltered takes on the show. Just me and him. So I do, of course. Um, I actually really like the show. I'm gonna get the official rating from both of us for sure, because I don't think I rated it on any show so far. So I'm actually I don't remember what Fuzzy's is, so I want to get his official rating. But kind
Mhm.
of want to take it in a different way. I think the future of the Xbox brand is kind of when I want to take it, because a lot of shows are talking about the preview show. We talked about it. And I do want to get the rating, but us talk about the future of the Xbox brand a little bit, and maybe the
Oh yeah.
future of Sony. We
Mhm.
know the Game Awards is coming up, and Sarah Bond did mention multi-year roadmaps, confirming that it also includes a next generation Xbox in the coming years. We had leaked documents where Activision planned on releasing a next gen Xbox console in 2028. Rumors kind of talked about the console has cut that time down to possibly 2026, um, which would put it at quite an advantage if Sony's PS6 is slated to release in 2028. So a lot of things could happen there. We could get into conversations about that. But me personally, I feel like that we could possibly see it at the Game Awards.
Mhm.
I do feel like Sony, for me in this generation in particular, I feel like hasn't offered a ton of reasons for me personally to get a PS5. I've gotten a PS5. It's kind of just collecting dust. With this constant barrage of remakes and remasters. Um, but where they have been doing a great job in my opinion is their third party deals. Sony has been killing it with third party deals. And Xbox seems to be like doing way better in this generation. In fact, if I'm going to compare the previous generation to this one, Xbox has made substantial kind of like strides in its deals, its partnerships. We're now at a stage where Atlas Games is now launching games into Game Pass as service. Then Metaphor, um, it doesn't seem like their partnership is slowing down anytime soon with like a game like Metaphor. So we'll talk about the showcase, but I kind of just wanted to bring it in this way, like
Mhm.
just kind of think about the future of like past this showcase, because the showcase was really just it showed a lot. It showed to me their relationships
Mhm.
with different companies like Bluebird. Did they just have a exclusive on Sony's side? Yes, but hey, this appeared on their stage. A game from Bloober Team. We had Remedy. Remedy seemed to have a decent relationship with Xbox over the years with Alan
Yeah.
Wake and things like that. So it was cool to see it here. Um, with the future of Xbox, wherever you want to take the conversation,
Mhm.
um, do you think we'll maybe see the new console at the Game Awards? Do you think it'll be a while? Like in terms of partnerships and games, where do you think Xbox is going here?
Well, I'll start with my hope. I'm hoping we see a handheld at the Game Awards. Hoping that's on the sooner rather than later timeline. Like I'm fine waiting until a full 2026 for like a standard console, but if they do a handheld, I'm hoping it's sooner rather than later. Like catch me with my wallet before the Steam Deck 2 comes out. And I know there's some saying that they're going to wait until they can do a full generational leap kind of thing,
No.
kind of echoing some of the Xbox stuff. Not sure if that's a coincidence or not, but yeah, I think that would be the key thing I want to see. But overall, as far as their future is concerned, I know there were a lot of us that were like, oh, just wait until the next E3 from 2017 back and so forth. And it's like they purchased these studios. Now these studios are, they've already hit the ground running. They have stuff that they've had in development for years, and we're now getting the fruits of that labor. We're seeing release dates. We're seeing games release within the service as promised with the day and date. We're seeing stuff that we kind of have forecasted throughout the rest of 2024, and then like the first up to the first half of probably 2025, and then knowing that they're going to have a whole list of more stuff for the remaining part of 2025 going into 2026. this partner showcase kind of shows you outside of what first party is going to deliver, because we already know Avowed's early 2025. They're already kind of telling you, hey, this is what to expect early next year from our partners. These are going to be some of the things you see in Game Pass. These are going to be some of the things that come to the platform. Hey, by the way, here's a few, world premieres of things that you probably didn't even know were in development, kind of thing. Like you hit on with the Bloober Team deal. Like I knew that they were working on another title, but I didn't think that that was even remotely close to being shown. Like I figure maybe we see something in 2026 or 2027. I had no idea that they would be able to have something to turn around shortly after they just released Silent Hill 2. So having something ready the next year, like that's almost like Obsidian level type stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Um, so it's great to see that they unveiled their new IP there, and it's a very for me a very interesting looking IP, part futuristic, part horror, and yeah, I just can't wait to play that. But overall, their future is looking very bright. There is a roadmap. Key words, roadmap. Like we actually know what's coming to the platform. We actually know already from what's coming from first party, and it's nice to always get these insights into what's coming from third party. Now, there's some third party that we still know is out there and may not, have a landing date just yet, like Silk Song, which
Mm.
I give them all the time in the world. As long as they make it as good as like the first one, if not better, let them take their time. It was the same thing kind of like with Ori to some extent. Yes, I know, totally different developer, but it has that special appeal to it just the same. Um, and then there's things like Replace, which we know is going to be early 2025 as well. So we have those to look forward to. But like, I think Xbox's future now, yeah, there's some naysayers out there that are like, oh, they're putting stuff, on PlayStation, what have you. I just look at what for me, it's the main things that matter is what's coming to Game Pass, what's coming to the platform in general. And if they continue to do this play anywhere like they've done with Metaphor and a couple of other recent releases where it's not even first party that's doing it now. They got a lot more of their third party doing it where you buy it once and you get the copy for PC and you get the copy for console, which for a lot of us that are playing on both or maybe transition from a handheld to their console kind of thing with one of those PC handhelds that's out in the market now. It's a perfect, marriage to some extent. And I just like seeing them do more of that stuff. And then we had the news like a week or so ago where games you own, you'll be able to stream through Game Pass X Cloud Gaming or however you want to go. I hope they keep that X Cloud name, but what the cloud streaming aspect. I would love to stream some of the games I own that don't wind up in Game Pass or haven't been in Game Pass in a while. Like The Division's a perfect example. Um, I don't know. I just the future is bright, and it's not even bright like a single light bulb. We're talking like 10 feet from the sun, kind of bright at this point. Where there was just so many things at the show that were surprises, caught me off guard, and as much as I joke about like for me the weakest link was probably the Yakuza game, but I love Yakuza games now. And the fact that they got this pirate thing where you're dual wielding daggers and stuff like that, I can't wait to give that a try. And it may sound like a joke, but it's like all they need now is Yakuza in space because I'm on that sci-fi kick right now. But it was just an awesome show. And I just love where Xbox is headed right now as far as they have the games and not just a handful of games. They have a ton of games to the point where I'm trying to chip away at my backlog and then I get buried with another backlog. So I can't really complain.
Yep. Facts. It would like when I was just thinking of some people in our community would be like, there's no games to play right now. Xbox is. I feel like a lot of people's mentality is really tied up to the old way of like this consoles and how they feel like Xbox should compete and kind of ignoring what is already there, what's kind of
Mhm.
already in their face. Like they prefer Xbox to compete in a way that they've been competing, or Sony to compete in a way they've been competing. I don't know. I maybe I'm just looking at where we're headed generationally, and seeing that like you see like Square Enix having a relationship with Sony for all these years. They are wanting to kind of pull out. You see, um, the day ones get shorter and shorter. Spider-Man 2 completely scrapped their DLC plans. We know they had DLC plans because we've seen
Mhm.
the Insomniac leaks. They were supposed to have like a beetle invasion and some other thing. Um, Scrap that. But anyways, um, they are getting shorter and shorter with their PC releases, and they've had executives from Sony talk about how they want to expand their ecosystem. We talked about how Xbox, for example, had Sarah Bond kind of come out and say like, we want to have our own store. They've recently just had a lawsuit case from Google, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
where it made it easier for them to put games on Game Pass in a way where you can just play straight through the app.
Mhm.
And I think next month actually, they're trying to implement that. I don't think it's going to be all the games. I think Jez made an article about this.
Yeah.
I could find it, but um yeah, all these things are coming up generationally where things are just shifting in terms of mindsets. I think it's there are some benefits, of course, to having exclusives to your platform,
Mhm.
but I don't have my identity tied to that, honestly. Like, if as long as Xbox is giving me value, like the partner preview showcase, for example, a lot of those aren't exclusives, right? But what did people enjoy about the show? They enjoyed like, hey, this is coming to Game Pass, or like, oh wow, I didn't even know about this game, and X, Y, and Z. Like my preference is the Xbox ecosystem. Um, do I like exclusive? Sure.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna be mad if someone else gets to play Halo or something. I would think it's weird as heck because we've been kind of the mentality for so long has been
Mhm.
my games versus your games. My games are better, and it's given us content over the years, right? With all this console war crazy, it's like, I'm Team Green, bro. And you're Team Blue, and you're a pony, and I'm an Xbox. And it's given us a lot of good content, but at the
Yeah.
end of the day, maybe I just see things a lot differently. Um, as long as I'm getting a better value, a good value, then that's good for me. If I can access the games, they're making it so like their ecosystem is multiple places. So you can play it on the PC, play mobile, things like that. And Sony is trying that in their own way. We know
Mhm.
they had plans to do their own mobile store, or their own game store.
Yeah.
Sony did. So we'll see if that still happens. But I feel like these companies are just evolving, and looking at the market, seeing what's feasible. The console market has not grown. It's been pretty stagnant for the last 10 plus years.
Mhm.
And I've seen the same people who mentioned that, same people was like, oh yeah, the console market has been stagnant too. Like, why are they not, why are they evolving past the console and stuff like that? I don't know. That's a whole other topic, but overall, I think whether we like it or not, this next generation, or like these next consoles could possibly be the last,
Yeah.
um before we kind of just dive into everything. Like Sony, I could just see Sony just focusing more on the PC space more and more, and figuring out ways to evolve there. um it's more beneficial, and they're going to have to learn too, Sony. I know they're stubborn in certain ways, but eventually they're going to learn that the PlayStation fan base is not the PC user base. That the PC user base is a lot more stubborn, and they do not play around. So if you're releasing a game a year after, you're not going to get as much sales if they feel like they're treated any type of way. They'll eventually learn that. They'll learn that lesson. Let's get into the chat. You guys are having great conversations. Um, throwing tomatoes at me and whatnot. I did send Ghost to Pong's house, but he kind of started it because he didn't believe me. He was talking trash in our DMs, saying that hey, I'm like, oh, I don't believe you. There's no one talking through your speakers and saying all this. Um, and then look at it now. Who like there it goes. We got Solid White. Talking about Silent Hill 2. Haven't touched it yet due to metaphor. I do gotta check out Silent Hill 2. There's just too many games
Yeah.
right now. Um, but Metaphor is the next game I think I'm gonna play, and then I think I'll check out. I think there's another game I'm supposed to play after Metaphor. Silent Hill 2. It probably just gotta wait. Just gotta wait a little bit. Um, OCD says hit the like button and grab a tomato. Appreciate you, but I will dodge it. Um, a poison. Saying whenever you get around to it, let me know the performance of it. That's what I always hear about Bloober Team and their performance of their games aren't good or something. Yeah, I heard that too. I mean, Medium was an interesting case because it was the first time they were really pushing the engine to its limit at the time.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to experience both worlds at the same time, so it kind of was very GPU CPU kind of heavy type game. But I don't remember how the other games perform. Like layer. Do you know
I
how
mean,
like Layers of Fear?
even with like medium, it took a hit in the resolution to keep the performance at least a steady 30. And I think they eventually had a performance mode, if I'm not mistaken. I remember
Yeah,
playing it and it not being a problem, although that was probably on like quality mode in 30 frames or something. But uh, yeah, they're getting, it seems like they get better each and every game that they release. Now, some of the story might not necessarily hit. I know some of the earlier stuff it was performance, but they did like remasters where they did better optimization, like a re-release for Layers of Fear and for Observer. But Silent Hill, a lot of people are loving it. Performance, but then maybe that might be the box it's tied to.
yep,
But outside of that, we'll see how Kronos does. But I just love what I saw so far of Kronos. Um, but their studio, it seems to improve with each title they make. Who knows? By the time Kronos comes out, maybe they'll be in conversations of a good uh, alternative horror kind of studio. Maybe not the likes of like Capcom with their stuff or anything like that just yet, but I think they're working on building that reputation, and Silent Hill has definitely helped them. It looks better than what some of the previews were for it before, and Kronos just looks like something that I really wish was coming out a little bit sooner, but we'll just have to wait until next year, and I can't wait to get my hands on it.
yeah. The thumbnail for the show on the screen is just showed Mouse PI.
Mhm.
Um, I put the thumbnail as the Disney Mickey Mouse thing, and I actually looked it up, right? Because I know Disney be coming for people and like
Mhm.
copyright, but I could use the Steamboat Willie.
Mhm.
But that's not what I use, so they might come for me anyways. But it's like it's not really Mickey Mouse. If you guys look at the thumbnails, it's like
Yeah,
a weird mixture AI type Mickey Mouse thing.
yeah.
So they could try. They could try to come for me.
What do they call that? Domain, something public domain.
Yeah, it went into public domain this year actually. Like Steamboat Willie. I forgot how long it's supposed to do it, but it's like 100 years,
Mhm.
maybe. That's just my guesstimate. But
I don't think other IPs can do that for the 100 years. I think it's sooner now. I think there were some
mm,
law changes, but Mickey Mouse was one of those, and there was a couple other ones that they had to, they had rights to it for like 99 years because they had a couple of
mm.
re-ups somewhere in there or something weird.
Yeah, they did some. Disney knows they have some of the best lawyers in the world. I mean, I guess I could never technically, if they come for me, I could never technically sue Disney because I am on Disney Plus, apparently,
Oh yeah, that's right.
which is so crazy. Like,
You signed that deal for what is it? Arbitration.
I guess so. They
I
can do
just
whatever
wanted to
they want.
stream movies. No, you signed this arbitration deal, dude. You're screwed.
They can literally come in my house and be like, and beat me up and stuff. They're like, I'll sue you. Like, you can't do nothing. Just picture like a Mickey Mouse helmets creepily coming in my house. Yeah. Anyways, Cygnus says Sony can't. PlayStation hardware is their bread and butter. What are you guys talking about? I don't know what you guys talking about. You got people throwing tomatoes at me. Um, uh, and then Mav says 3-bit probably one of those guys that walks around eating raw tomatoes like it's an apple. And someone said maters. No, I actually don't like tomatoes at all. But I know, but I like ketchup, if that
Yeah.
counts. Yeah, because that's tomatoes. I like it in the different form, but I wouldn't eat just a random tomato. I would eat like an apple,
Mhm.
everything else, peach, whatever.
No,
But
I
tomatoes are
remember being
gross.
a kid, grab a tomato, sprinkle a little salt on it, eat it just like that. But I was like a little kid then. That was
Yeah, yeah.
like, it wasn't that that was in place of fruit. It was just, ah, it's kind of cool. Well, for kids, I think at that age, it's like anything with salt on it is good at
It's the
that
move.
point. So
Yeah,
it's like,
it just
yeah,
does some. This does something different.
yeah,
Silent Hill needs VR support. Yeah, I agree with that. That would
yeah.
be sick. Like I want to like VR, but it's too expensive for me to jump into. Um I don't know. Like I really want to try like Half-Life Alex and a couple other
Mhm.
games. Really it's just the price. Like I'm really just happy just playing on the couch, whatever, but I don't know. Maybe I just need to be convinced a little bit more. Susa said if they come for you 3-bit, we ain't never seen 3-bit again. Yeah, if after this episode, if I just randomly disappeared, you guys know what's up. So, yeah, yeah. Anyways, so we basically got one more topic, and well, first I want to know what your
Oh,
um score is for the partner preview. So,
I
what's your
give
overall score?
I give it a solid 8.5 range. Like it was solid where, like I said, the Yakuza was probably the weakest link, but not really. Like I'm excited to play all of those games, but the two highlights for me were Chronos and the Mouse PI.
Hmm.
There were some other ones there, but the drawback being that they are probably Souls like games, and that's not my forte. But I love how the look of what was it, Wu Shang, Fallen Feather, that looked awesome. I think there was one that might not be Souls like that was pretty cool, which was Eternal Strands. And then even like Wheel World, just like the art style and the fact that it's kind of like I guess a racing bike RPG to some extent. You can build your bike based on your winnings and whatnot. So, and they had some weird looking ones, like the one that looked like a person. Nah, I'm not doing that. But the rest of them were pretty cool. And then the fire break, what was it, the FBC fire break from
Yeah,
Remedy?
that looks sick.
That was awesome. Like the fact that it's going to be co-op in that control like world, and you got things like a nuclear gnome. Yeah, I can't wait to play that. And then another highlight, which it probably doesn't get mentioned enough, but it just I remember having my kids go to like laser tag at like one of these
Oh yeah.
go-kart places not too far from the house, and blind fire, where it's like you just have like neons, like little lights in the corners, and you walk through a doorway or an arch and it lights up and kind of tells people around that you just passed through that and to shoot in that direction. That looks like it's going to be a good hide and seek stealth like shooter, so it should be interesting. And it's a definite, you hasn't ended.
If you guys see us, let's see some tomatoes. Let's see. I got Banjo. There you go. Yeah, I think we're back. Um, it's pretty cool how I could turn off my computer. Let's say I got a drink or something. and
Mhm.
then I ate some chips or whatever, and I came back, and somehow we're on the same like streaming link. Like, I don't know. I just find that's very impressive.
Yeah.
Shoot, what was I even? Oh, so thanks for everybody for sticking around and throwing all the tomatoes and everything. Um, Disney did come for me. I had to fight them off actually. It was like two Mickey Mouses, so it wasn't too hard. Um, but here we are. I think that was maybe karma for me making fun of Pong. Came back to bite me a little bit. So yeah,
Yeah.
the finale kind of topic I wanted to talk about. This was actually just announced. Basically around the beginning of the show, maybe. Jeff Keighley um, posted one of my one of my best friends, Jeff Keighley. He's great. Um, he said Bethesda will host a Fallout Day broadcast event on Wednesday, October 23rd. So looks like Fallout is going to have in 3 days some sort of event, which looks pretty cool. What do you think
Nice.
they'll show there?
I'm hoping it's two things. One, an update or more of an update for the show, because I think there's something tying to the upcoming second season. Um, Hopefully we get a little bit more insight on when that starts. I'm pretty sure they already started filming, but maybe we get a timeline of when we'll see the show return. And then I'm hoping Todd is, I wouldn't say come to his senses, but has found a way, whether it's a small team that's going to do it or kind of spin off from maybe the 76 team or what have you.
Mhm.
Maybe we hear something about a Fallout 5 or a smaller experience Fallout that might either be based around the TV series or after the TV series or something to that effect. Like that, I think would be awesome. Knowing that in like let's say a couple of years we get, a next mainline Fallout or at least some sort of maybe smaller experience kind of thing. Like, or I'm because I'm on this horror genre thing right now. Maybe it's a Fallout where you're stuck in the shelter and you have to figure out a way to escape in like a roguelite kind of thing, and you got ghouls already in the shelter that you got to fight with to get out.
Mm,
I don't know.
yeah,
I
that
mean,
could
that
be.
could be something that would be a make it a smaller experience with some replayability that will kind of tie some people over until a true Fallout 5 is ready.
Yeah. Um, I'm trying to think of what else could be there. Or I mean, you hit points that I was thinking could be there, like some sort of Fallout Shelter game, maybe. Um,
Yeah.
I am thinking like maybe what they'll do is promote season two of the
Mhm.
Fallout show. I don't know how far they are though into filming, but honestly, they could just be like teaser Fallout. It could be that montage clip thing they do to like Fallout season two coming soon, or however they want to do it.
Yeah.
Um, I could see them doing that. Maybe they could do some packs related to the show. I think they already did some things related to the show, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken, like some of the armor or skins of the girl or something like that. With they might have did that with Fallout 76. So maybe not that, but maybe they do more of that. I don't know.
Well, they
Hard to
had,
tell.
I think they had some of the outfits available in the mod store for four, and then they had it as like I think packs for Fallout 76. So I love that they still add support stuff for Fallout 4 because that was pretty cool having like the more of like the show numbered vault suit kind of thing to
Yeah,
go along with it. That was pretty cool.
yeah, that was freaking sick. But that's all I got. Unless you got any cool other news that's popping up today. Um,
No, but I'm pretty sure we're probably going to get some more news here in the next few weeks on something like I'm keeping my fingers crossed for that Xbox Series Go or the Xbox handheld. I'm hoping that that's sooner rather than later. Um, sure, we'll probably get something at the Keeleys, or hopefully we get something by the Keeleys at that point. Um, but other than that, just enjoy games. I do want to give a shout out to one thing I will, because I know some people may not be his biggest fan, but shout out to Colt for the instructions on the free Game Pass, legit ways of doing it.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Um, he made a post and he did a video about it, but I've told people I've been doing this since 2017. Like since 2017, I kind of figured it out through the Microsoft rewards, and from 2017 to today, and this is including buying Ultimate or even Game Pass PC for the boys on occasion. I've only spent about 200. The rest is Microsoft rewards points, especially when they do the 28,000, I think it is, for the 3 months of Ultimate. They only do it like one time a year, but if you catch it and you have like 200 and some odd thousand points, try to load up on as many of those 3 month cards as you can. Because normally it's like 35,000, but
Mhm.
sure, time is money, and if your time is limited, it may not be the most convenient way to pay for Game Pass. But me being retired, it's like, yeah, I'll do a couple of searches. Yeah, I'll do a couple of quizzes. Yeah, I'll play a couple of games of solitaire here and there. Or I think they even have a thing now where you read some of your emails through Outlook, you get some points. But that's also for the $1 million contest that they're doing. But I'm more focused on just paying for Game Pass that way because
Yeah.
it's the best value. And if I can save the money that I would be spending on Game Pass to buy more games, that's even better. It's like it already saves me money, but if it can save me even more money, that's why I'm saying. Well, I J Rock made a post, and I was like, yeah, I spend about 1,200 to 1,500 a year on games, and it's like, don't ask me on years when there's hardware because I don't want to give that number out. But it's like, yeah, I when you spend that much on games, it's like if I can save some or get points from buying games, which Microsoft still gives you a decent amount of points when you buy a game, um, it's all worth it. I know if you buy on PlayStation, I think you have to spend um, it's more than 1,200 to get like one
Oh
free
yeah,
game.
their star pro. Are you talking about the star program or like
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, the way they changed it's so more grindy in comparison. Like I think with Xbox, you can spend 60 or no 600 to 700 range, and you more than likely will have enough to get a game, a new base game that's set 60 or 70 at that point. It's almost like 10%
Yeah.
of what you spend will you can almost get as a cash reward kind of thing. Sometimes they scale it down a bit, but there's times where it's like, oh yeah, your points are worth double certain times of the year. But
Yeah.
I encourage everybody, give it a try. If you can save more money and it allows you to buy more games, or with the way things are today, put more money somewhere else in your pocket or in your budget, so be it.
Yeah. Like I for the reward program, it does show you like different things you can do. Sometimes, I mean, I miss it a lot, but sometimes there'll be a lot of points or just things on Bing, like look up this thing on Bing and click on this
Mhm.
picture, or yeah, it'll have stuff like that. Sometimes I really focus in on it. I'm like, ooh, I can get a bunch of points.
Mhm.
Like if you use the app, you can get some points too, just for
Yeah.
logging on. There's a lot of ways to do it. I know they sometimes hyper focus on a game, like get an achievement in this game and you get like a bunch of
Mhm.
points. So if you're the person that tends to play a lot of games, then you probably could get a ton of points and just get Game Pass. I mean, basically for free. If
Yeah.
you're spending a lot of money playing games, whatever, then you might be able to get those points in on Game Pass as well. So I guess look out for that. I didn't even know he did that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So let me get to some of these comments and then we'll see what happens. Susa says if anyone here loves Crash and DK Country, try indie game like Nico Dorico. It's a mix of both and has David Wise doing the soundtrack. Who is David
Mhm.
Wise? The person who did the DK soundtrack? Is that him? I don't know who David
I
Wise
think
is.
so.
I like DK. Oh wait, that's Donkey Kong. If that's what you're talking about, I don't know. Uh, uh, and I'm scrolling up further. OCD says like grab a tomato. Mav is trying to throw peaches, which turn to eggplants, which turn to olives. I think olives are a little bit not as aerodynamic. So if you're gonna throw it at me, and also I got poison as my mod, so he's gonna take all the olives for me. So I'm just gonna be like this, and then he's just gonna like so um poison will be my shield as the mod is. Shout out to everybody in chat. Um we got Web Dave coming on through. Seen a little bit of your show before we started ours, so shout out to you, Web Dave. Boys may exit $50 super chat. You guys are just going crazy. $50 super chat and 3 fault will go shirtless for 45 minutes minimum. No promises. Fruit and veggies is too nice. You guys are just crazy. Roberto Z says Doom is going to be sick. Yeah, that was playing on the screen. Yeah, Doom is going to be insane.
Yeah.
Like I'm really looking forward to. It's just like the setting is cool. Um, the combat looks cool. You get to fly like a dragon. Like everything, you're like yeah. But just so I could get more tomatoes thrown at me, shouldn't we make Doom more relatable? We should, right? That let's let's put Doom. Let's bring it to the future, ish, and make him go to high school. I feel like that's just the best setting. And maybe he has a crush on Doom Girl, right? Do something like that. And maybe they could meet each other after class, and then you could put notes in your locker. That'll be part of the gameplay loop. Um, and yeah, let's do that to Doom. I feel like that could be a 10 out of 10 game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
the big boss battle at the end is going to the senior prom.
yeah. Yeah, let's do that with Doom. I mean, I said this in the past. We could do that with Gears of War as well. Gears of War, I feel like it fits a little bit more. It's Marcus Phoenix. He has all that anger inside of him, right? So you could really channel that in high school, or you go through all the things, right? So there we go.
Moody teen.
Moody Teen, Marcus Phoenix. Oh man, shout out to you guys. All right, no, that's all we got. Overall, I guess I didn't score the show. Wow.
Yeah.
I let's see. I'm gonna give the Xbox Partner Preview showcase. I'm also give it an 8. Um, it did what it was supposed to do, and the reason why I also give it a 8 is I just think they already had so many other shows, like the show that's on the screen right now, where it showed Doom and all these other games.
Mhm.
It did such a good job in those shows that anything extra from here is like, oh, okay, cool. I didn't know this
Yeah.
was coming. Um, so it's just extra cake for me. So it's already almost like a higher score just naturally. Um, so yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought the presentation was really good. Props to Tina Amini and the team. Again, I've worked with them like on the first show. Super proud of that team. And Tina Amini just knows how to put on a good presentation, and something we've been missing, I feel, from other platforms in terms of like that E3 feeling. Ever since like Sony kind of just like, oh, we're gonna do our own shows. Nintendo did a pretty good job with their directs. Like we're doing our directs, whatever. I feel like Xbox just does the sort of like the best job at just pulling together all their studios for like a moment in a year where everyone can just kind of celebrate games.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm looking forward to their roadmap. I'm looking forward to a lot of the games they showed at the partner preview showcase. And yeah, it's surprising, right? Like a lot of people out here will have you convinced that Xbox is trash and Game Pass is terrible, and they're not pulling out any games right now. Um, that's not what I'm seeing in Game Pass. I highly disagree with that. I'm overwhelmed with the amount of games. May not be the games you guys are potentially looking for. I play all sorts of genres. Um, It really ranges. It depends on my mood, honestly. I could jump
Mhm.
into RPGs, first person shooters, and then I'll play a game like Coffee Talk where I'm just talking to people. So for me, Game Pass has a crazy variety. I'm looking forward to what they got going on at the end of the year too with Game Awards. But yeah, that's why I gave it a higher score. I think they did a great job. It only adds to what they already have, as opposed to Sony, where I gave a little bit of a lower show. It was a third party show, but I give that a lower show because that was their show. Like that was it.
Yeah.
They have like the third party games and then like a sprinkle of like Ghosts of Yutei, which did raise my score up like a point or so. Um, but it's not even comparison. Like they are killing it in terms of showcasing their games. We had some conversations earlier with like the marketing side that they could work on, but they did a great job with like Metaphor, and they did a great job with like Starfield. So um, I guess they keep it going. But that is it. BT Maverick says need a nice show in the background of my Astros 50s while I play Silent Hill 2. Um, Horror games. There's certain horror games. I don't know if I want to hear that very well. I'm just saying. Like I
Mhm.
feel like jump scares and stuff. I did that with Outlast, and I have not gone back. And Outlast 2, I beat Outlast 1 several times, but Outlast 2, ooh, I still have not gone back to that game. Where someone was like peeking their eye through a hole when I was in the swamp, and he was like, he basically looked at me and grabbed me. I haven't touched it since. So, but I do want to do like a horror game marathon where we just look at some horror games. Because Poison asked like when's the 3-bit stream. I do want to do that at some point before Halloween. So you may just see a random game stream soon. Maybe do some co-op with everybody, the audience. But shout out to you guys. You guys keep it positive. You guys know, um, you know what it is. In the sea of negativity and like, there's no games out there for me to play. You guys come to our shows. You guys, I see your timelines and what you're playing and what you're enjoying. So I appreciate you guys coming to every single show. So let's close out. Fuzzy,
Yeah.
where can people find you, man? What you got going on, and close us out.
Man, oh man, this was an awesome show. Awesome chat. Love doing this with you, 3-bit. Just love the fact that there's so many games between now and the end of the year, and we already got a peek at what we're getting in the beginning of next year. Looking forward to it. And for those who want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on the app, formerly known as Twitter at fuzzy_Belvedere. Find me on a ton of podcasts, like on Monday, 12 noon, Xbox lunch break special on Double Barrel Gaming with Mr. Boomstick XL. Once again, that's 12 noon on Double Barrel Gaming. And then later that evening at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on FSP with Fun Speculation, 3-bit, Psychonauts if he can get the time off or if he gets in early enough. But it's always fun just doing these podcasts, talking about the hobby we love. And man, just enjoy the rest of your Sunday, everybody in the chat. Don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. We greatly appreciate it. But make sure you're playing games. There's a ton of them out there. Have some fun. Where can they find you, 3-bit?
Yep, appreciate it, man. Everyone can find me right here every Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You guys can also find me and Fuzzy on FSP tomorrow. Me and Fuzzy been doing like this is the third I guess the third show in a row. So it was
Yeah.
yesterday we were on PTK's show,
Mhm.
which was a great show. You guys could go check it out. The Shop Podcast today, and then watch a me and Fuzzy marathon tomorrow on Mav's channel, FSP. That'll be, I believe it's 9 o'clock now, right?
Yeah.
9 o'clock. So we sure we'll have a lot to talk about. Fun, always fun times. So definitely go check that out. Thanks Poison for putting Ferocious Fee in there as well. They do a
Oh,
horror
yes. Thank
stream
you.
podcast. So fun. I gotta get back on there at some point.
Yeah.
And Roberto says, "Man, too many games." You are correct, sir. Lots of games out there. You just gotta go out there, experiment, try some things. Diablo has come out. Starfield has DLC. Just go out there, try some stuff. But we will see you guys. If you guys agree with us or not, let us know. Comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe. We are almost we are what are we at right now? 394.
Nice.
So we're almost at the good old 400. I think we could start doing like channels membership stuff at
Mhm.
500, I believe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
if you
it's at
guys
five.
want,
Yeah.
I would love to make like tomato emojis and stuff like that. So if you guys want to throw tomatoes at me, I gotta get a custom emoji just for you guys so you can do it properly, the real way. But we'll get there eventually. But I appreciate everybody coming to every single show. You guys have no idea how much it means to us. And we'll see you guys on the next show. Bye, y'all.
Later.